This is the S&P 500 Spider ETF SPY one-day reading for June 12, 2024. It's currently May 15, 2024, 2:07 p.m. Eastern Time. SPY at the time is reading $529.04, that's USD. The shuffle video for the June 12th reading was created on May 2nd, 2024 at 11:17 p.m. Eastern Time. That's this video in the lower left corner. The overall theme and behavior for SPY on the 12th is 3 pokes through the same trend line, followed by a sharp drop off of that third poke. So overall bearish. There might be a notable peak here or high of some kind on a multi-day scale, but overall bearish, and behavior from the high, or behavior around the high side for the day, we have a decline out of the high, offering opportunity to open up a long position. So that indicates that we see the high more than once. Either that or consecutively higher highs, it's possible. Behavior around the lowest low for the day, we have a period of volatility that ends with a fast sudden move higher, and I'm advised to trade around a notable move to the upside that'll stand out on a multi-day scale. A move to reach for distant resistance, i.e. not the nearest key resistance, but at least the second one. Now I'm going to get into the best trades that I see, as well as the hour-by-hour chart behavior and the timing of the highs and the lows. But before I do all that, I want to make sure everybody's aware. The whole purpose of the channel is to transmute some of the competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill. We do that by following the rule of karma for the channel. You go to the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, and 5% of the profits from every profitable trade utilizing this information should be donated forward to one of these charities, or pick a charity of your choosing, as long as you're paying 5% forward, and then 5% should be sent back to the channel through one of these links. If you're international, you can use Wise, or you can use YouTube tips, and that leaves you at 90%. Make sure to spend that 90% out of love. As long as you follow those rules, you follow the rule of karma for the channel, the universe considers you an angel investor. It's going to send it back to you tenfold for following through. Blessings to all my angel investors. Let's get back into it. In the pre-market, there's quite a lot of price change, either overnight or I should say overnight and in the pre-market. An important an important support level on a multi-day scale is highlighted at a low here in the pre-market and probably at the open, with a sideways fluctuating decline that precedes a rally. So a period of volatility in the first half hour near the low, that makes sense. And we go from a low to a high here in the first half hour. We successfully turn resistance into support somewhere around the 10 to 11 o'clock hour. It looks like we have a high here at just before 11, and then another one just before 12. From the first high there, or I should say the high before 11 o'clock, that's a near overbought crest that we sell off from through multiple support levels. Looks like there's price swings here, and then we rally between 11 and 12. We rally along a diagonal trend line back into the highs, and that's a cash out opportunity there in the midst of a fast sudden move higher that ends that rally along the diagonal trend line. Fast sudden move higher, and then a breakdown through the diagonal trend line with increasing volatility on the way down. And you've got the universal hexagram energy there, so that could be indicating either a sharp drop or a price point that we fall through in the next significant decline. But I would say that this is probably here around 12 o'clock, or maybe just a little bit before 12. It could be anywhere between 11 and 1, but I'm thinking probably just before 12 o'clock. There's that high. It's a failed attempt to break through key resistance between 1 and 2, followed by a decline with the universal into a sharp decline there, and that takes us to a low, another low for the day, probably lower than the one in the pre-market. There's a trade opportunity there, and we rally out of that low. And then we do sideways rotation in the last hour along key support, and we come back to some sort of peak right around the close in a period of more volatility. Advised to be cautious near the close or overnight with the post-market, some sort of tricky chart behavior. It looks like there's a pretty big decline and a pretty big move to the upside tomorrow. We'll look at that in more detail when we get into that. But as far as the best trades, I want to close out of short positions here at the open up a long position. When we decline off of the high, you could add to that long position and then look to close that long position when we revisit the highs from that first half hour. Well, the first high could be anywhere between the open and 11 o'clock. I'm leaning towards like 10:45, and then the second high could be anywhere between like 11 and 1 o'clock, but I'm thinking probably close to 12:45. So when we decline from the first high, you add to the long position, close the long position when we revisit that price level, that high again. That would be a day trade. You want to open up a short position. It's not the clearest trade, but you could probably open up a short position. This Herkimer diamond here in the post market indicates a lot of price change overnight or in the after hours. So I would say you want to make sure you're cashed out of long positions by the time we see this Princess of Wands, but probably you want to do it there at the cash out ruin. Right, you can open up a short there, close a short for a day trade at this low here. In the midst of the rally, that takes it to a peak at the close, I would open up a short position for a swing trade overnight, and I would look to close that short position on the 13th there between roughly in the morning session. We'll get into in more detail as we progress into that reading. That's SPY for the 12th of June. Let me know what you think by hitting that like button. As always, make sure to follow that rule of karma. Blessings to all my angel investors. You know where to go. You know what to do. I'll see you guys on the next one.